Do we live in a time of ongoing relentless change? Is this the obvious background in which we live? I say yes. And given this background of ongoing relentless change, here's a question. Scale of 1 to 10, given this background, how important is learning for your organization? Scale of 1 to 10. It's a 10. How important is learning for you and others in your organization as individuals? How important is that? It's a 10. One of my favorite philosophers, a guy named Eric Hoffer, says this: in times of change, those who are prepared to learn will inherit the land, while those who think they already know will find themselves wonderfully equipped to face a world that no longer exists. Spectacularly prepared for yesterday. So here's a question. What would you say are some prerequisites for learning, independent of subject matter? Learning to ride a bike, learning to rebuild a relationship, learning to lead a company in times of change. What are some prerequisites? What has to be in place to optimize the learning? I ask this question to leaders all over the country, and they respond with, I need to practice, I need to be open-minded, which is my favorite. Of all the other things we could say, open-minded for me is a spectacular prerequisite for learning. So what does this actually mean, being open-minded? It's a metaphor, of course, my head's not popped open. If you were looking for open-mindedness in me, where should you go poking around? Where does open-mindedness dwell? I want to offer this. It dwells in my internal narratives, in my internal conversations. You change my internal conversations, you can and will change my degree of open-mindedness. Let me say it slightly differently. Your current internal conversations at this moment are not byproducts of your current degree of open-mindedness. No, they're producing it. Because language creates. And there is a cousin to open-mindedness I want to offer that is also a spectacular prerequisite for learning and has a great deal to do with language. And it's this. It's when the learner thinks internally or says out loud, I don't know. When you say or think, I don't know, when you make this declaration, you're not describing a state of affairs, you're producing something. And what you're producing is called a context or an opening for learning. Not physical, very real. So it brings up two interesting questions, one corporate, one personal. On the corporate side, the question is this. This is a culture question. How do you treat people inside your organization who say, I don't know? Is it okay in a public space for somebody to answer an inquiry out loud with, I don't know? Now, I don't know and I'll find out by Tuesday and now it's Wednesday. We are not talking about that. That involves commitment and accountability, and it's radically different. Here, I'm only referring to the first time it raises its head. The first time it becomes apparent, is it okay to acknowledge I don't know? And this, how you answer this question, has everything to do with the type of culture you have and will be able to have. And on the personal side, I don't know goes like this. Given your age right now, however old you are, given the level you've achieved organizationally, personally, socially, the question always comes down to, do you give yourself permission to be a beginner at anything? Because you declare beginnerhood into being. You speak it so just like the umpire. Can you see how an orientation toward openness to learning, being okay with declaring ourselves beginners in a time of ongoing relentless change, could be helpful to you individually, to your leadership team, to the employees and teams within your organization? Are you ready to learn more about how to create this kind of space within your organization?